Hey everyone, Hurricane Liz here, back for another video, and I just got back from my $10,000 per person mastermind with the professor of Amazon, and all I got is this stinking t-shirt. Let me stand up here, see if you guys can actually see it. And fact of the matter is, the reason I'm doing this video is it's kind of like an emergency video. I want you guys to know what's going on with the state of Amazon. One of the major topics that people were up in arms with and totally in disagreement with was the coronavirus. And I know what you're thinking. Gosh, Liz, do I have to hear another thing about the coronavirus? Well, I will say this much, even though I don't like listening to all the news and all the BS that's going on around there, out there, I do like to know what's going on with my Amazon business. And the coronavirus, whether you're currently selling on Amazon and or thinking about starting to sell on Amazon, or you're Shopify drop shipping, or you have any ties to China, keep in mind a lot of things are tied to China. This will affect you, so you really should listen to this, especially because of the fact that the people that I have this information on are people that are really up there in the Chinese community, particularly the manufacturing community and the high-level sellers. I'm talking about sellers that make hundreds of millions of dollars, and they are very concerned about this. So in this video, I'm going to tell you why you too should be concerned about this and how this can potentially affect you. So we're going to jump straight into my actual screen share to start talking about this and learning a heck of a lot more about the coronavirus than you wanted to. All right, so I am straight here in the actual link that most Chinese people actually use to find out what the status is of the coronavirus. And right now, you would definitely figure this, it's not working, right? So it's not telling me the total number of confirmed people with coronavirus as well as suspected in death, but I'm going to show you, if you scroll down here, you can actually see that very same information. Right here, the red line shows that there's just over 40,000 confirmed cases, and this yellow line shows suspected, and then we've got green here showing deaths, and gray showing deaths and green showing recovered. So let's talk about the information on this graph and the positive and negative things about it. Well, as you can see, the confirmed has gradually still been going up, but suspected has now taken a turn down. So there's a lot less people suspected. Could be good, could be bad, but you can also see that the amount of people recovered is also going up gradually, and the deaths are kind of very slowly moving up. Between 2 to 3% of people that actually get this die. So it does seem like the elderly as well as the sickly are the people that are actually dying from this. Now, you can even actually see the breakdown here by province. So these are the total amount of deaths, mostly coming in this Hubei province. And you can also see that in Guangdong, there's only one death, and that is in, I can't even pronounce this if my life depended on it. And you can also see that the big areas like Shenzhen, which is primarily electronics, has 0 deaths, not many confirmed, but people are recovering pretty well. Now, the real actual dangers of this virus is that it's extremely contagious, is number one. It's spread by usually, like, you could touch a doorknob with somebody that sneezed and they touch a doorknob, and then, bodily fluid exchange. I know there's dirty bastards out there, but I'm not talking about that bodily fluid. I'm talking about snot. This video's quickly become about snot. And so Guangdong, if you actually get the virus, you won't know it between 2 and 14 days. And then once you finally do, it lingers on for a long time. So just when it seems like you're recovered, it could still hit you and hit you hard. So it takes a long time to recover, but you can quickly and easily just start to see, here we finally get the confirmed number. Now it's working. It's like magic. You can see that the numbers are slowly rising and that people are recovering pretty well. So now keep in mind, there are a lot of conspiracy theories out there, including one from a billionaire whistleblower that claims there's over 1 million people affected by this virus. However, my contacts and the people at this mastermind, we're saying that there is really no way to test 1 million people in that short period of time, which makes perfect sense. Plus, what do they do with all the bodies, right? So a lot of things people trying to put in conspiracy theories, but I really truly believe that this will be taken under control in at least a couple months. Now that sounds like a long time, and it could be longer. I could be way off, so it could be like 6 months to a year, but right now what we're planning for is a couple months without inventory, which we'll talk about later on in the video. Now let's talk about the relationship of how far you are in your factory compared to this, as well as how it really affects you. So what I'm going to do is pull up a map here, and I'm just basically Googling the distance from Wuhan to my factory. So this is a friend of mine's factory who's in the arts and craft, and you can see it's a decent distance about from it, But my factory is actually in Shanghai. At least one of them is. And if I look at the Shanghai, we can see how far mine is, which I'm all the way on the coast. They're all the way over here. And the further you are, it's probably the better. However, as I said earlier in the video, keep in mind Wuhan is like 3 times the size in LA, and everybody went back there for the Chinese New Year. So a lot of people are trapped. And that means that a lot of factory workers are stuck. A lot of factory workers can't get back to work. And though they were allowed to work there from home and get back to work, let's face it, China is a nation of manpower. If you haven't seen my Chinese sweatshop video, I highly recommend it. You will see that there were 3,000 people working at that factory, all putting listings themselves. There's really no automation because manpower is so cheap. So their automation is people. Let's face it, after holiday, there's typically a high turnover rate, but now not only are they trapped, and not only do those manufacturers need to replace the factory workers, but it's just a huge mess. So a lot of them are pretty much going to stay indoors and lose their jobs. And there's really no telling what's happening in Wuhan. So we should get to know some more in the near future. However, again, the Chinese government has been very hush-hush about this. But let's talk about how this actually affects big sellers like Merchant Fulfilled. And again, if you haven't seen the actual Chinese sweatshop video, you're going to know that most of those people sell products like this particular pillow that I bought. Who knows why I bought this damn pillow, but keep in mind, notice the arrives date, March 3rd through 24th. The reason for this is that it is coming from China. The fastest delivery would be 14 to 20, which means that it would have to be air shipped. But if you take it the regular way, it's 3rd through 24th. And that date could be way off because of the fact that they are anticipating they get some people back on the 10th. The 10th was the very first day people could come back. Remember, Chinese New Year ended the 3rd, and on the 10th, it was extended 7 days. And people should be getting back now. In fact, I did get a text from my actual supplier that said that they were getting back to work and that they were getting back to work within, let's see what it says here. It says they are starting to open, I am being told. So it seems like they are getting back to work as they said. However, there's no telling how little manpower they will have. And again, as I said before, China is largely built on manpower. So again, what we can expect after the holiday is a backlog of employees, which means that your order is in queue with all the other orders. Now, let's talk about strategies we can actually use to counteract this and to actually play it in our advantage. Number one, we can make a bigger order. And the reason for that is that China is all about deep pockets. It's not about who's in line first. You might have noticed this when you're on the airplane and they all just rush off. They don't give a shit about etiquette or about waiting in line. And there's so many of them that it's difficult to actually think about manners or anything like that. It's just that kind of nation. And so what we can actually think about is money talks over there. It's all about show me the money. You can make a larger than usual order. That's what manufacturers are going to fulfill first. So if you want your stuff, if you want it fast, you want to place a larger than usual order. That way you can get it first. Now, with that being said, you're also going to possibly see a drop in quality because of the fact that they are rushed to get these orders done and there are fewer employees. So don't be surprised if your defect rate goes up. Make sure that you pay close attention to that because, again, they are in a hurry to create things and to get them out the door because of the backlog of orders they're going to have. And things are also being held at the port longer than usual. We're looking at about a 3-week wait as opposed to not much of a wait. So keep in mind that when you place a reorder. If you're close to the reorder point, it's probably best to order now and have that order in queue. However, if you have plenty of inventory in stock, you might want to wait a little while in order to make sure that you don't get that drop in quality. All right, now let's talk about strategies we can use in order to take advantage of this. Number one, first and foremost, is source from another country. So for doing that, you can go to a site like Global Sources and find out other places that you can actually source from. There is India, there is Thailand, there's a lot of other countries that actually have products, especially if you're brand new. You can source from another country other than China. The other thing is you can source from the USA. So keep that in mind and pay close attention to maybe products that you wouldn't normally source, like consumables and or consumables that sell a lot less than competition. So I'm not talking about to get out there and source a vitamin C serum. I'm talking about source little known face masks or something that's not as competitive as vitamin C serums. The really big sellers with deep pockets won't be looking for the little products like that. Okay, the next strategy is slow down your lightning deals and or your 7-day deals. You can see that there's a lot of them going on right now. However, you want to make sure that if you don't have enough inventory, you don't do them. And the reason for that is you're going to sell through much faster. Now, on top of that, if you do happen to run out, make sure you close your listing so that you at least keep some of the rank and you don't lose the whole rank altogether. Now, the next strategy could be a little controversial, and that is raise your prices, particularly if your competition is running out of stock. So what I would do is I would take a look at my highest level competitor and I would start using the $9.99 cart trick. So I'll kind of give you an example here. If I go and I search AirPods case, I can jump into here and search this AirPods case, and I will go ahead and take a look at whoever is like these guys here. I'm going to click on these guys, and now I'm going to just add this to cart. And I'm going to take a look at cart. I don't actually know what the heck is in here, but I'm going to go ahead and look at this quantity here, and I'm going to put 10 plus, and I'm going to hit 999, and I'm going to update. And I'm going to let it tell me how much they have. So for this particular item, it says that they have only 991 items. So that's a sign that they've got less than 1,000 units. And now unless they have some at the port, they're really going to have to make sure that these last. So it could be a sign that if they were my main competition, they're about to run out. So I could effectively slightly raise my prices and look to get not only a higher margin, but a higher amount of sales at that margin. So that puts a lot of extra money in my pocket. And like I said before, this can be controversial, but sometimes you got to take advantage of this. I'm not talking about raise it at a ridiculous amount. Like during hurricane season in Florida, sometimes people were selling $40 water bottle cases. I don't condone in that, but I'm talking about a couple extra bucks. The situation is what it is. The next strategy you can actually put into effect is there's a lot of products that get sold in bundles that come straight out of China that are merchant fulfilled. You can now effectively source in the USA and bundle those together and take advantage of the fact that you can sell them. I think one thing we might see is the Chinese will begin sourcing in America and selling American-made products if this lasts any longer than we actually predict it to last. And then finally, if you are brand new, I highly suggest you start sourcing and you source now so that that order gets in queue. My favorite time of the year to source is actually February and March when the Chinese come back from Chinese New Year, because of the fact that'll give me the entire year to work on the product and get it ranked for Christmas. So if you haven't already made a decision on a product, start to look to do that in the next few weeks so that you can begin to source that, and then you can start the whole process of reviews, launching, and ranking that product so that you're sitting pretty come Christmas season. So that's my brief update on the coronavirus, straight hot off the presses from the 10K Mastermind. Now, if you guys like these updates and you want me to continue to tell what my actual contacts in China say about these, then let me know that below. Other than that, I look forward to seeing you all in the next video, and I'm happy to be back.